We are exposed to sexual content within the media every day. We see it and we hear it all around us. How is this content affecting us? Sexual media research has tried to understand and measure how sexual content has affected our behavior for decades. Most of this research has been to analyze the effects on children and teens. Authors Ward, Erikson, and Littman state that this type of media effect studies draws on two main theoretical approaches. One is cultivation theory, and the other is social cognitive theory. Cultivation theory is the idea that the more time you spend watching media and consuming media, the more you accept what the media shows as reality. And social cognitive theory provides a framework to help researchers understand how influences turn into certain behaviors. Sexual media research hopes to find out how sexual content affects adolescents and how those adolescents incorporate those influences into their behaviors. Using the two theories, we're going to talk about sexual content through the television, through music and music videos, pornography, and how it affects the growing minds of our younger generation. Sexual content through the television. Authors Ward, Erikson, and Littman found that sexual content is prevalent in mainstream media. It appears in approximately 85% of films and 82% of television programs. Streaming platforms like Netflix and HBO make watching all kinds of movies and shows accessible to all, meaning that adolescents and children can easily access mature TV content. In the Sex on TV study funded by the Kaiser Family Foundation, researchers Kunkel and Eyal write, 83% of parents say exposure to sex on TV to young children, it makes them become more involved in sexual situations before they're ready. And actually, a lot of teens agree. Through the cultivation theory, we can assume high exposure to sexual content through television normalizes sexual behavior at a younger age. Exposure to sexual content is an environmental factor and can influence risky sexual behavior depending on the viewer's cognitive or biological qualities. But sexual content isn't just limited to the television. We're also exposed to it through our ears with music. Music is available for almost all at a press of a button because of technological advancements. Almost everyone has a phone, portable music player, or a radio. Researchers Robertson and Primack suggest adolescents and young adults spend anywhere between 2 to 4 hours a day consuming music. Turner, another researcher, found that almost 79% of R&B, 78% of rap, and 53% of pop contained some form of sexual reference. Researchers again, Ward, Erikson, and Littman, point out that 88% of these songs are actually sung by men. Many songs and videos show gender norms that depict women as sexual objects and men as dominant figures. This content affects how we as listeners view gender roles in general and during sexual acts. Ward, Erikson, and Littman say, social cognitive theory would suggest if women are regularly exposed to messages that men are sex-driven and women are more sexually passive, they might internalize those sexual scripts. Because of the internet and the prevalence of sexual content in the media, pornography is becoming more prevalent and accessible. Pornography can be defined as sexually explicit photos or videos intended to excite viewers. Bin Nguyen, a researcher, states that more than 60% of 11 to 13-year-olds have been accidentally exposed to pornography. Deborah Braun-Corville and Mary Rojas found in their research that adolescents who frequent these websites are more likely to possess sexually permissive attitudes and acceptance of casual sex. The more exposure adolescents have to pornography, the more they will have sexually permissive attitudes. According to Dr. Sharon Cooper, pornography normalizes sexual harm by portraying a lack of emotional relationship between consensual partners, unprotected sexual contact, and in some instances, violence and rape. Alison Baxter says that the aggression and violence toward women found in much of today's popular pornography can teach boys to behave aggressively towards and demean women, and that is not socially acceptable, but they might think it is. We can conclude that sexual content in the media negatively affects adolescents. Deborah Braun-Corville and Mary Rojas write, our results show exposure to internet pornography is associated with high-risk sexual behaviors. We also know from Dr. Sharon Cooper that sexual content can often show a lack of emotion and empathy during sexual acts. And from Allison Baxter, we know that pornography and music videos often portray gender stereotypes of women being submissive and males being dominant. All of these can encourage aggression towards women and lead men to see women as objects. Protecting children from pornography is important for their present and their future well-being. Thank you.